So, hi Shay.
Hi Sarah.
How are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for talking to me today. I just wanted to talk to you a bit about the Empowering Learning, the Jumpstarting Literacy Numeracy Programme that you've been using here at the school.
Yep.
Why did you go looking for an extra programme?
Well, we were doing school self-evaluation and we were looking at the area of English, and as a staff we felt that we were spending a lot of time in phonics and that we were working very hard and that we weren't getting the value for it. So the head of our learning support team wanted to look at the area of visual learning in particular, and then when I heard about Jumpstarting Literacy Numeracy, I wanted to find out more about it.
And how did you hear about it? What was the route that it came to you?
I heard through a friend's daughter that had a session with herself actually, and she had a diagnosis of dyslexia, and her mum was delighted with the results, so I figured it was time to look into it.
Great. So you've done the pilot. You did a pilot in 2013 where all of your staff were trained, so you've been using it for the last 3 years.
Yep.
And what's been the overall impact, do you feel, with the school?
Well, I suppose the first thing is the place feels calmer, so that's number one. The grounding technique is used in the mornings with all the classes, and there's been an overall calming down of the place. There are a lot of children here, and like any school there are a lot of issues, but the grounding technique in particular has a very calming effect on, well, not only the children but on the staff also.
Great. And in terms of children then with specific learning difficulties like dyslexia, what impact have you seen with them?
Well, we looked at the results of children, particularly with diagnosis of dyslexia and those with pre-diagnosis with showing classic signs, and well over half of those children made significant gains in their drunk spelling test and also in their McCarthy, their annual McCarthy tests. So we were delighted with that, and obviously the children and their parents were thrilled also.
And so what has the feedback been from the parents? What have they seen?
Feedback from the parents has been great. A lot of them, just people who we would have never seen before, have come in and said thanks. And a lot of them will come in and say, well, we have dyslexia as well, and some of the older children are training their parents how to ground themselves and how to visualise. So so it's become a family thing now. So the feedback from parents has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and they're just delighted that it's happening in the school. And
just as well as improved spelling, what else do you notice is the impact on those children?
Okay, confidence. A lot of these children were failing, and in like most schools, the spelling tests would be regular spelling tests, and children who were failing are now succeeding. So that has impacted on their whole demeanour. So they're happier coming to school, and because of their newfound confidence, and then it's boosting their academic achievements across all subjects really.
Right. So obviously spelling is the first area that we look at in terms of helping students to improve. What other areas have you used it in there?
Well, when we were piloting this, we figured out the next area to go was Irish spelling, because as you know we're bilingual, all schools are bilingual in Ireland, but so we looked at Irish spelling. Now, because it's a second language in this school, we had to go straight. All spellings were visual with Irish, so there wasn't any phonics background because you couldn't teach. Phonics are completely different between Irish and English. But because they knew the technique, the first week they got it. So we had spent 6 weeks practicing our English spellings. And by the first try of the Irish spellings, we saw a huge improvement in Irish spellings.
And have you ever seen anything else work?
No. We tried many different strategies with Irish spelling. Nothing ever worked. But with this, the results were just first week, and they've held up ever since.
Great. So long term.
Long term, yeah. Absolutely.
So you've seen improvement very quickly, and then it continues.
I wouldn't recommend any other strategy for Irish spelling at all.
So spelling, both languages. What other areas do you use it in?
Okay, well then we looked at under schools our literacy numeracy strategy. We were looking at the area of comprehension. So we looked at visualising the area of comprehension, And again, because they sort of had an idea of it from their spelling, it worked very, very well with that.
So you saw an improvement?
Yeah, and then we moved on to maths. So our area for school self-evaluation was problem solving. And once the children were able to visualise the situation and put themselves into the situation, they then had a much greater understanding of what the problem was.
Great.
Okay.
And any other areas of maths that you've used?
Tables. Yeah, absolutely, tables. So we would have set up tables competitions using tables triangles, and it gave them an incentive to learn their tables.
Right. Because it seems that one of the things that's kind of gone by the wayside is the kind of rote learning of tables.
Yeah.
And now there's just the listed tables and the children have to go home and learn it. But like anything, if they're not given a strategy for how to learn it, it seems to, for some children, it was really difficult for them to do, whereas this seems to...
Look, learning tables is extremely boring, right? Why would you volunteer to learn tables? Yes, there are online games for tables, and that's fine, but if you don't have a strategy to learn the tables, you're setting yourself up to fail. Whereas if you can visualise your tables, well then you can see them. So, And
I've been in the classroom where you've been playing the tables game,
yeah.
And the kids just seem to absolutely love it.
Yeah, and every time I go into class, can you please do the tables game? It's like an extra game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have a way to learn and they have an incentive to learn.
Yeah, sometimes a different class, like 5th will take on 6th class, or 3rd will take on 4th. It's cutthroat. It is fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
It's always great to see enthusiasm.
Especially if the younger class with the older class. That's huge. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So obviously it works then with, in terms of for all students, the grounding, the calming exercise in terms of getting into the learning state works very well. You've seen it work pretty well with children with pre-diagnosis or diagnosis of dyslexia. You've seen it across a variety of areas in terms of literacy and numeracy. Have you used it at all with children with more severe learning difficulties?
Yeah, we would have quite a number of children with diagnosis of autism or Asperger's syndrome. Some with, be quite high levels of anxiety as well. The grounding technique works very well with them, and particularly spellings. Once these children are given the strategy, they follow it to the nth degree. It's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and it's been very, very successful.
Great.
Yeah.
So what about in terms of your staff? Because obviously anything new involves training and having to do something different. What do you think the impact has been for the staff in terms of this training?
Well, initially they were very reluctant because they thought here is a load of new work being put upon us. As it was a pilot project, we're moving from a one-on-one technique to a whole school approach. So there were successes and failures, and 1 or 2 tears maybe of frustration. But now that it's assimilated into our teaching techniques, so there are no lists or no paperwork. It's just what we use. So in the morning, we use the grounding technique. So if the class are maybe in at lunch on a wet day, well, you're definitely going to do it a couple of more times. Usually after breaks, teachers do it as well, or if there's just a reminder when they change subjects. There's no extra paperwork. There are no workbooks. It's just part of your day.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you were to talk to other primary schools, what would you say about this?
What I would say is that once you've done the training, it's something that will help you to, I suppose, as I said initially, the biggest reaction or the biggest impact was calming. It was calming. The place felt differently. So if you want the place to be calmer and more focused, well then this is a great start. And if you only got that out of it, it'll be very successful. Seeing the reaction of the children, particularly those who have been failing, we all love making breakthroughs with children. That's why we're in it. So to see a child making a breakthrough, the light bulb going on, the smile, the parents' reaction, all of that, it's, they're all wins, they're all successes. So if somebody had said to me that over half your children with diagnosis are going to make huge strides, they would have taken a hand off themselves. That's what I would say. this has worked for us, it's always why it should work for everybody else.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Shane, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you and your staff in the school. It's been a real credit to yourself driving this forward, and really to your staff as well for taking it on board and running with it the way that they did. But I definitely see, you know, it's such an amazing school to walk through and to just feel how calm it is. There's a kind of quiet, working, industrious kind of feel to it, but everybody always looks so happy and you know, sort of content being here. And I love coming here, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome.